Few things in your home are as important as the mattress on which you sleep. Avocado Green Mattress is next level. Avocado Green mattresses are certified organic mattresses that deliver luxurious comfort, ergonomic back support, and naturally cool sleep. 3 comfort options: firm, medium, or plush. What does comfort mean to you? For me, comfort is sleeping cool. No tossing, no turning, just deep, refreshing rest. Avocado mattresses are built for your comfort. They're handcrafted from the finest natural organic ingredients for superior durability and are designed to last. Unlike mattresses with low-quality memory foam, those mattresses break down in a matter of years. And for those of you with back problems, Avocado mattresses feature thousands of steel coils individually encased in fabric pockets that flex independently to reduce motion transfer and support your body where it needs it most. You'll feel just as good getting into bed as you do getting out of bed. Also, Avocado offers up to 1-year sleep trials and generous warranties for your peace of mind. Head to avocadogreenmattress.com today and check out Avocado's mattress and bedding sale. Avocado, dream of better. And away we go. Episode 1190 of the Al Galdi podcast. It is Monday, November 3rd, 2025, and is the second NFL season of Washington Commanders quarterback Jayden Daniels done. Heck, is the Commanders season, for all intents and purposes, done. A 38-14 loss to the Seattle Seahawks at Northwest Stadium on Sunday Night Football on Sunday night to fall to 3-6 in the NFL's 2025 regular season. An embarrassing performance in what has become such a disappointing season. And now Jayden Daniels, for a third time this season, is injured as he in the fourth quarter suffered a hideous-looking left elbow injury. And his might not be the only serious injury for the team in this game, as the Commanders continue to get hammered by injury this season. As I posted on X on Sunday night, I am looking forward to the Commanders having far fewer primetime games next season. The Commanders in this regular season now are 0-4 in primetime games. This whole thing with our team having a bunch of primetime games this season isn't working out so well. Hello and welcome to this Monday installment of the Al Galdi podcast. Coming up on the show, in-depth reaction to and analysis of the Commanders' debacle of a loss to the Seahawks. Next segment, discussion of this latest injury for Jayden Daniels. Is Dan Quinn guilty of head coaching malpractice for still having Daniels in the game when he got injured? Also, what now for the Commanders with the 2025 NFL trade deadline on Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern? The following segment, analysis of yet another wretched performance by the defense and thoughts on the rushing offense, penalties, and special teams. Also on the show, I'll talk Washington Capitals, college football, and Washington Wizards. As never forget, this is the podcast that follows Washington, D.C. area sports so that you don't have to. The Caps have lost 4 consecutive games, so the latest 2 of which came over the weekend. Friday night, a 3-1 loss to the New York Islanders at Capital One Arena. Saturday night, a 4-3 shootout loss at the Buffalo Sabres. We had a college football Saturday that included losses for Maryland Navy and Virginia Tech, but wins for Virginia, Old Dominion, and Liberty. ODU became bowl eligible, but a principal focus of our college football segment will be Maryland. The Terrapins got demolished by then number 2 Indiana, 55-10 at CQ Stadium in College Park, Maryland on Saturday in the Terps' homecoming game. Maryland now is a pathetic 0-37 against ranked Big Ten teams since joining the conference beginning with the 2014 season. And our rebuilding and tanking Wizards, they had one game over the weekend, a 125-94 loss to the Orlando Magic at Capital One Arena on Saturday night. Before we get to some feedback, it is official. Blake Butera is the Washington Nationals' new manager. The Nats made the announcement on Friday morning. The news of the Nats hiring Butera as manager broke this past Thursday morning. What we have since learned was the day on which Butera and his wife welcomed their first child. Thursday also marked the 6-year anniversary of the Nats winning the 2019 World Series. And also with the Nats, no Gold Glove Award for center fielder Jacob Young. He was a finalist for the National League Gold Glove Award for center fielders, but the award was won by Pete Crow Armstrong of the Chicago Cubs. The winners of Gold Glove Awards for the 2025 regular season were announced on a 1-hour special edition of ESPN's Baseball Tonight on Sunday night. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Lots of feedback on our Commanders off their loss to the Seahawks. Email from Nate G. Writes, Nate, hey Al, writing to you from 8:41 in the second quarter. It's 21-0, and it's official. It's time to commence Operation Loseout. It's time for Joe Witt to be sacked. It's time to sell Daron Payne and anyone else we can. I can't believe we're back here so soon. So disappointing. Thank you for the email, Nate. Operation Loseout, a successful mission that we conducted on this podcast during the Commanders' 2023 season, resulting in them getting the number 2 overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, which was perceived to be loaded at quarterback. And the Commanders, with that number 2 overall pick, of course, took Jayden Daniels. Is it time for another Operation Loseout? Maybe it is. Email from Rich. Writes Rich, hi Al. I know we've had some injuries. I'm trying to be understanding. However, it's hard to do so when our defense is so horrible. Joe Witt seems like a good guy. Why can't he find anyone who can set the edge? It's like we're allergic to basic tenets of defense. We can't stop the run to the outside. We can't rush the passer. Marshawn Lattimore seems to be going for a PI record of some sort. Receivers always seem to be running wide open. Wagner is slow. It's time to sound the alarm. We can't win many games playing like this. Jayden doesn't play defense, and the offense has its own share of problems. Receivers drop balls when the receivers aren't injured. The run is inconsistent. The line play doesn't help. To summarize, we aren't a good football team this year. Don't expect many wins. The best we can hope for is to acquire some trade value for some of our aging players and load up for the offseason. Last year, it was a statistical anomaly. This season is reflective of who we are. Sorry, Al. Keep up the good work. Thank you for the email, Rich. I don't disagree with any of that. Email from Eric E. Writes Eric, Al, this is by far the most pathetic display of Washington football since the Riverboat Ron era, and we're not even at halftime. Too early to start rooting for the team to lose for draft position. To quote Kurt Russell in Tango and Cash, this bleeping sucks. All trick and no treat. Thank you for the email, Eric. Tango and Cash, that was a good movie. Email from Felix. Writes Felix, Goldie, I've been gone till November. On a regular basis, I listen every day, but for some reason, I tune out in October. I'm back. Do PFF grades still range from 0 to 100, with 60 being average? I carved a great pumpkin, but with the hot weather, the pumpkin got all moldy and squishy, much like this Commanders team, who looks good in the draft. It's gotten to that point. Happy Thanksgiving. Well, thank you for the email, Felix. Happy Thanksgiving to you. And yes, Pro Football Focus grades are on a scale of 0 to 100. 60 is average. Early detection and treatment of skin cancer can save lives. A great supporter of this podcast, Dr. George Verghese, is one of the nation's premier dermatologists, and operating under his direction is the Mid-Atlantic Skin Surgery Institute of Maryland, which has locations in Waldorf, Maryland, Leonardtown, Maryland, and Lexington Park, Maryland. The Mid-Atlantic Skin Surgery Institute of Maryland focuses on medical skin care, cosmetic procedures, and skin cancer diagnosis and comprehensive care. Dr. Verghese and the Institute offer free skin cancer screenings to anyone considered a new patient, and Dr. Verghese and the Institute offer advanced treatments for skin cancer, including painless and scarless skin cancer treatment. Call 301-396-3401 or visit midatlanticskin.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. Dr. Verghese and the Institute can help you or someone who you care about with any of your dermatological needs. If you're dealing with allergic reactions, if you're dealing with acne, psoriasis, or eczema, if you're interested in procedures like Botox, laser hair removal, chemical peels, or smart lipo, which is the latest in body sculpting technology, Call 301-396-3401 or visit midatlanticskin.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. That's 301-396-3401 or midatlanticskin.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. For excellent and comprehensive skincare, contact Dr. George Verghese and the Mid-Atlantic Skin Surgery Institute of Maryland and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. The Washington Redskins in the NFL's 2012 regular season went from 3-6 to 10-6 and won the NFC East. The Washington Commanders in the NFL's 2025 regular season now are 3-6. Raise your hand if you expect them to win the NFC East. A 38-14 loss to the Seattle Seahawks at Northwest Stadium on Sunday Night Football on Sunday night. The Seahawks improved to 6-2. The Commanders fell to 3-6 with a point differential of -35. They now have lost 4 consecutive games, 5 of the team's last 6 games, and 6 of the team's last 8 games. But going back to the 2012 Redskins, the last game of their season was the Seattle game, right? January 6th, 2013, a 24-14 Skins loss to the Seahawks at FedEx Field in the wild card round of the NFL playoffs, what is known as the Seattle game, as it was the game in which Skins quarterback Robert Griffin III suffered a torn right ACL and torn right LCL, and the circumstances surrounding him getting injured in that game were dissected and debated for years, and the ramifications of that game were lasting. Well, did we just have the Seattle game part 2? You can always hit me up on X at Al Galdi. From Brendan Langdon on X writes, Brendan, the Seattle game part 2. Thank you for that, Brendan. Yeah, did we just have the Seattle game part 2? Heck, the Commanders on Sunday night were wearing what, right? Their Redskins-like alternate uniform. And that Redskins-like alternate uniform did look good. That, to me, 100% should be the team's number 1 uniform as soon as possible. But you know what? Nobody cares about the uniform when the QB1 gets injured. Commanders quarterback Jayden Daniels. He on Sunday night returned from a 1-game absence caused by a right hamstring injury that he suffered in the Commanders' 44-22 loss at the Dallas Cowboys on October 19th. Daniels also missed 2 games due to a left knee injury that he suffered in the Commanders' 27-18 loss at the Green Bay Packers on Thursday Night Football on September 11th. This has been an injury-plagued season for Daniels, just as this has been an injury-plagued season for the Commanders overall, and he on Sunday night got injured again. 2nd and goal for the Commanders at the Seahawks 2 with 7:39 left in the fourth quarter. Daniels was sacked by linebacker Drake Thomas, who in tackling Daniels spun him down to the ground, and Daniels, while being tackled, had his left arm bent backwards in a grotesque way. This was Commanders head coach Dan Quinn during the opening statement of his postgame press conference late night on Sunday night.
All right, guys, we'll get rolling. There's times you sit up here and after a bad loss, you say what just happened, and I don't have to ask that question. I know exactly what happened, and started right from the very beginning. First offensive series, penalty, knocked us back out. First defensive series, penalty, that's how we started. And we killed our momentum before we could even get momentum. And give Seattle credit. I thought for a great night, but, for us to have issues that allowed them to have that night are stunning. We couldn't stop them, and we completely stopped ourselves. And so I'm furious, obviously, and into that emotion, but it's also hard to have that. You see the entire team, on a knee, circling up on Jayden, and who's on the ground after, his injury. So the update on him is he does have a left elbow injury. I'll update you more once I know more, but that's what I know tonight. But what I can say is I can speak for every coach and player, and just unacceptable performance by us tonight. And told the team, we're the one who dug the hole, we're the ones that dig it out. The solutions are from within. So we missed it by a mile. We missed the out by a mile. Great environment with the fans, great setup, like all the way through. And man, we completely missed that chance and that opportunity tonight. So that stings, and we'll get all of it, found out and look through. I'll give you updates on injuries once I know them tomorrow. So.
All right, so a left elbow injury for Jayden Daniels. The good news is that this is not his throwing arm, but the bad news is that the injury looked nasty. And we early Monday morning had reports that Daniels did in fact suffer a dislocated left elbow. ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter, he in a post on X early Monday morning had this, quote, Commanders QB Jayden Daniels did in fact suffer a dislocated elbow midway through the fourth quarter of Sunday night's loss to Seattle. Per sources, he is scheduled to undergo an MRI on Monday to confirm the injury and to help determine how long he'll be sidelined, end quote. Is this a season-ending injury? Is Jayden Daniels' season done? You gotta wonder. But what you also have to wonder is, what the heck was Jayden Daniels still doing in the game? Why in the world did Dan Quinn still have Jayden Daniels in the game? Daniels got injured with the Commanders trailing 38-7 with 7:29 left in the fourth quarter. Daniels was pressured heavily throughout the game. His pass catchers barely got open during the game. He ran a bunch during the game. He already had been injured twice this season. Why in the world did Dan Quinn still have Jayden Daniels in this game? Again, the Seattle game, Part 2. You can't make this stuff up. We, during Quinn's post-game press conference late night on Sunday night, had this exchange between Commanders insider Nikki Javala of The Athletic and Quinn.
Was there any consideration to not having Jayden go in for that series in which he got injured and having Marcus finished out?
Yeah, not at the space. I mean, obviously, like the hindsight, you don't want to think that way where, an injury could take place. Obviously we're more conservative in that spot to, run and hand off and not have reads to go. But just the end result, Nikki, obviously I'm bummed. Yeah.
Well, the defense for Dan Quinn still having Jayden Daniels in the game at the point at which Daniels got injured would be that there was value in Daniels continuing to play from a developmental standpoint, but the competitive portion of the game was over. We were in garbage time, and whatever value there was in Daniels continuing to play from a developmental standpoint was far outweighed by the injury risk given the factors that we outlined. Daniels was pressured heavily throughout the game. In fact, per ESPN, Daniels was pressured on 51% of his dropbacks, highest pressure rate in his NFL regular season career. Daniels' pass catchers barely got open during the game. Daniels ran a bunch during the game. Daniels already had been injured twice this season. Dan Quinn is not alone in terms of NFL head coaches who would have had Jayden Daniels still in the game. A lot of head coaches do this. I don't get why. I am all for the machismo of you got to keep fighting, but when the fight is over and the injury risk is high, change course. Be smart. We, during Dan Quinn's post-game press conference late night on Sunday night, had this exchange between Commanders insider John Keim of ESPN and Quinn.
Going back to the decision to keep him in the game, obviously it's football, things happen, you said hindsight, but because of his style, would there have been any extra thought given to that, and just knowing that he does like to run and maybe leave himself more susceptible?
Yeah, obviously I'm just gutted by it. I'm just bummed. We didn't have any read plays on it, and the one that he was on injured is, usually a runner or a throw to the flat. It's not a scramble. So it wasn't a designed read or play, into that spot. If we run it, 50 times, it's either a handoff or a throw, I'd say 50 times. So it's a bummer, man, in a big way.
Yes, it is. But, it doesn't matter what the play call was. What matters is the circumstance. And the circumstance screamed significant and pointless injury risk having Jayden Daniels still in the game. The idea is for this guy to be the team's franchise quarterback for a decade plus. He already has been injured twice this season. There are durability concerns with this guy. I know that some people don't like to hear that. There are, okay? There are durability concerns now with Jayden Daniels. His health is paramount. And if you want to talk about him developing, well, there ain't no developing. Well, he's done for the season due to a left elbow injury, if in fact he is done for the season. We'll see. I hope like heck that he isn't. How about this exchange during Dan Quinn's postgame press conference late night on Sunday night? This was between David Aldridge of The Athletic and Quinn.
Dan, I'm asking this really respectfully. I want you to understand that. But Jayden's been hurt 3 straight times in 3 straight games. Does this organization have to take a different approach with him with regard to keeping him on the field, even if a game's lost, or you think there's a chance, even if you think there's still a chance to win, if it's not capable of giving him the support he needs on the offense and the defensive side for him to be at his best?
Yeah, I think the answer to that is we will give him the support to do that. And I'm certain of that, Dave, to make sure that we do that in every single way. And that's calls, offense, defense, like the whole way through, man. I absolutely feel that way on, the hamstring injury. And so tonight with an elbow, yeah, it's really important we get that part right, and we will.
All right. As far as Jayden Daniels' performance in the game, hard to evaluate given how lopsided the score was and how overmatched the Commanders were. But Daniels did do some good things. He completed 16 of his 22 pass attempts. He quarterbacked the Commanders' offense that went 6 for 13 on third downs and 1 for 2 on fourth downs on a 4th and 1 for the Commanders at their 42 on the first snap of the second quarter. Daniels had a 10-yard under center play action boot completion to tight end John Bates. Daniels was impactful as a runner. He had 10 carries for 51 yards and a touchdown, 3rd and 5 for the Commanders at the Seahawks 13 with 1:04 left in the second quarter. Daniels had a 12-yard shotgun scramble, and Daniels on the next snap had a 1st and goal, 1-yard shotgun touchdown run with 53 seconds left in the second quarter. But a lot of his running was him scrambling due to pass catchers not being open. It was disturbing to see how often he was scrambling. Daniels threw for just 153 yards. He had a yards per pass attempt of just 6.95. He had no touchdown passes versus 1 interception. 3rd and 17 for the Commanders at the Seahawks 45 with 12:55 left in the second quarter. Daniels, while under duress and taking a quarterback hit from cornerback Devin Witherspoon, fired a shotgun pass down the right sideline, and the pass was intercepted by safety Ty Okada, who made a leaping catch on which he got both feet in bounds. Daniels took 4 sacks. Daniels missed a wide-open receiver downfield as in not even throwing to the guy. 1st and 10 for the Commanders at the Seahawks 41 with 7:23 left in the third quarter. Daniels had a 1-yard shotgun scramble on which receiver Jalen Lane was wide open downfield. The Commanders had like 0 downfield passing game in this game. But all of that certainly is not on Jayden Daniels. And now Jayden Daniels is hurt again. This Commander season has become the season from injury hell. We have been talking about this for weeks. By now, everyone is aware of that, but I don't think you can emphasize this enough. And that's not to take people off the hook. There are plenty of people who should be on the hook for what is happening with this Commander season. But yeah, this Commander season has become the season from injury hell. Heck, did you see or hear the latest on the Commanders' number 1 receiver, Terry McLaurin? So he, for Sunday night, was inactive due to a quadriceps that he re-injured in the Commanders' 28-7 loss at the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football last Monday night, October 27th. McLaurin in that game returned from a 4-game absence caused by the quadriceps injury. Well, this was NFL insider Ian Rappaport of NFL Network on NFL Network's NFL Game Day Morning on Sunday.
Terry McLaurin dealing with a quad/hip flexor injury. Out again. My understanding is he is expected to be out next week as well. The 3rd game also could miss. They have a bye after that. So there is a possibility, Rich, that McLaurin misses 3 games here for Washington.
Okay, so more wonderful injury news for the Washington Commanders. According to Ian Rappaport, don't expect Terry McLaurin back anytime soon. And there's more. Receiver Luke McCaffrey. He on Sunday night was knocked out of the game via a shoulder injury that he suffered on a game-opening 19-yard kickoff return. Again, this Commander season has become the season from injury hell. And there are some injuries on defense that we got to get into. We'll do that next segment. But also with the Commanders at receiver, right? Noah Brown remains out. He on Sunday night missed a 7th consecutive game due to groin and knee injuries. The Commanders on October 15th announced having placed Brown on the reserve/injured list. During Dan Quinn's postgame press conference late night on Sunday night, had this exchange between Barry's Verluga, columnist for the Washington Post, and Quinn.
Dan, you're down Terry. You go down Luke very early, first play.
Yep.
How much burden does Jayden then kind of put on himself, because he is such a playmaker? He's down weapons to create stuff, because he tucked and ran quite a bit tonight. Does he kind of have that mentality that
you talk to whom quite a bit?
To Jayden, that does he take it upon himself?
Yes.
To do stuff because he's down weapons here?
Yeah, understood. I think that's his nature. Like, he wants to be aggressive and make plays to go, but he's got confidence in the other players. I do know that. So it's not like, okay, I have to do more. I have to, do things that are outside of playing in that way. We also have to have everybody, like injuries and those things happen. You hate it. I'm talking about for Luke. But I didn't sense that for him, to say, okay, now I have to do more into that spot. But, yeah, it's honestly, I didn't feel that from him.
All right, so now what? The 2025 NFL trade deadline is on Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern. I said that if the Commanders lost their 2 games leading into the deadline, then the team should be a seller regarding the deadline. Well, the team did lose its 2 games leading into the deadline. Lost the 2 games by a combined score of 66-21. Commanders general manager Adam Peters 100% should be a seller regarding this trade deadline. I know that there has been some stuff out there about the Commanders potentially being a buyer, especially for a pass rusher. Forget that. Sell and sell hard. This team so needs to get younger, replenish the team's diminished draft capital, even if all you get back are day 3 picks. Now, the NFL trade market is tricky. It is hard to gauge who has trade value and how much. But to whatever extent players have trade value, those guys should be traded. And I'm not just talking about guys on expiring contracts. I think about interior defensive lineman Daron Payne. I think about linebacker Frankie Louvu. Those are 2 guys not on expiring contracts, but those are 2 guys who should have at least some trade value and who I would be open to trading. I wouldn't just give them away, but I am not wedded to anyone on this defense. This is becoming a lost season for the Commanders. Barring some miraculous surge a la the 2012 Redskins, the 2025 Commanders' realistic playoff hopes are gone. It is painful to say that, but that's the truth. During Dan Quinn's postgame press conference late night on Sunday night, had this exchange between Nicky Javala and Quinn.
Given how much of the season is left, what can you do to try to change course here?
We have to, and that's exactly what I told the team. We've got to do that, and when you miss it like we did tonight, it's frustrating, and all the emotions that go with that. I also said we're the same ones that have to dig us out, and so we'll look at everything tomorrow and find our ways, but the answers would come from within, and so we've got to be able to do that. But it was rough one for us in the locker room. How do we fix? Where do we go? That's what the plan calls for. Coaches, players, everybody.
All right, and we later during the Dan Quinn postgame press conference late night on Sunday night had this exchange between John Keim and Quinn.
2 weeks ago we saw you in Dallas. That was probably as upset you would seem. Tonight you say your fears. How disappointing is it that hasn't translated to what you want to see on the field yet?
Really, it is, John. And just to know that we've, off course and don't have our football aligned like we want, it's frustrating, it's disappointing, it's all those emotions. Like I said, we're going to get to the bottom of dig ourselves out of it. But, it's all those emotions for sure. Like I said, I have all those, but obviously I've got concern with Jayden and some of the other guys that got banged up as well.
And more on those guys next segment. Nova Fireplace and Stove is Northern Virginia's go-to expert for fireplaces. Transform the look and feel of your home and increase its value by visiting Nova Fireplace and Stove in Woodbridge, Virginia, or by visiting novafireplaceandstove.com. And make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you for $25 off any service. Come in and see Nova Fireplace and Stove's stunning displays, including custom fireplace glass doors and stone refacing options that can completely transform the look of your fireplace. From sleek and modern to rustic and cozy, Nova Fireplace and Stove has something for every style. And here's what else Nova Fireplace and Stove offers: gas fireplace service and repair, chimney cleaning and brickwork repair, generator installation, panel replacements, and water heater repairs, smoke detectors, security lights, and more. Nova Fireplace and Stove is a family-owned, fully licensed and insured company with over-the-top credentials, gas and electrical master's licenses, a Class A contractor's license, and a long list of 5-star reviews to back all of this up. Every job includes a free in-home estimate, and for listeners of the Al Galdi podcast, Nova Fireplace and Stove is offering $25 off any service. Just mention this ad. Nova Fireplace and Stove only works in Northern Virginia and thus knows the homes, the codes, and the people. Your satisfaction is 100% guaranteed. That's Nova Fireplace and Stove in Woodbridge, Virginia, or novafireplaceandstove.com. And make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you for $25 off any service. Nova Fireplace and Stove, where comfort meets craftsmanship, and your fireplace becomes the heart of your home. Is it me, or is it the case that most of the time in recent years, when the Washington Redskins / Washington football team / Washington Commanders honor a player via retiring his number at halftime or via inducting him into the team's Ring of Honor at halftime, the team is getting demolished in the game? It certainly feels like that has been the case a lot. Certainly was the case on Sunday night. The Commanders at the half, while trailing 31-7, retire the number 81 of legendary former Skins receiver Art Monk, who was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2008. I tell you, I felt bad for Monk, but congrats to him on a well-deserved honor. More now on the Commanders on Sunday night, falling to 3-6 in the NFL's 2025 regular season with a 38-14 loss to the Seattle Seahawks at Northwest Stadium on Sunday Night Football. There are not enough bad things that can be said about the Commanders' defense. So what an absolute embarrassment this defense is. The defense has been hit hard by injury at one position group, edge defender, but at no other position group, and yet the defense is one of the worst in the NFL. Now, speaking of injury, multiple Commanders defensive players dealt with injury in this game. Cornerback Marshawn Lattimore was knocked out of the game due to a knee injury. Cornerback Trey Amos dealt with a hip injury. Safety Quan Martin dealt with a hamstring injury. Interior defensive lineman Eddie Goldman was evaluated for a concussion. And at least the Lattimore injury looked potentially serious. He on the sideline had a brace/sleeve on his left knee, had a towel on his head, and was hugging teammates. So that seemed rather ominous. So the Commanders continued to have atrocious injury luck this season. Of that, there is no doubt. But also true is that the atrocious injury luck does not excuse the defense being as bad as it is. The Seahawks' Sam Darnold, he for this regular season through Week 8 was number 1 among all qualified quarterbacks in the NFL in yards per pass attempt, 9.14, and was number 1 among all qualified quarterbacks in the NFL in yards per completion, 13.39. He is having an all-pro caliber season. He on Sunday night shredded the Commanders' defense. Darnold went 21 for 24 for 330 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception. He had a yards per pass attempt of 13.75 and a yards per completion of 15.71. He took no sacks. He had no rushing attempts. He did this despite inactives for the Seahawks, including 2 key receivers in Cooper Kupp and Jake Bobo. The Commanders allowed Darnold to begin the game 17 for 17 for 290 yards, 4 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Let me repeat that. The Commanders allowed Sam Darnold to begin the game 17 for 17 for 290 yards, 4 touchdowns, and no interceptions. How about this? Sam Darnold became just the second of 2 quarterbacks over the last 20 NFL regular seasons to, in the first half of a primetime game, have at least 4 total touchdowns with a perfect passer rating. The other quarterback, the Philadelphia Eagles' Michael Vick, in the Redskins' 59-28 loss to the Eagles at FedEx Field on Monday Night Football in the infamous Monday Night Massacre on November 15th, 2010. So each time this has happened, Washington has been the victim, and at home. Unbelievable. The Seahawks' first offensive drive, a 12-play, 90-yard drive that consumed 8 minutes, 7 seconds off the clock, resulted in Darnold's second and goal, 4-yard under-center play-action touchdown pass to receiver Torrey Horton with 3:04 left in the first quarter. Darnold on that drive went 6 for 6 for 67 yards and a touchdown, and you knew right then our team was in trouble. How about this play? 3rd and 8 for the Seahawks at the Commanders' 25. Cornerback Mikey Sainristil beaten badly by Torrey Horton, who was wide open on a 25-yard shotgun touchdown pass by Darnold to Horton with 8:52 left in the second quarter. The Commanders' secondary got picked apart again. Nothing is working. Zone coverage, man coverage. Defensive coordinator Joe Witt Jr. has tried a bunch of different things with this defense. Nothing works. The Commanders allowed the Seahawks to generate 418 total net yards of offense, average a whopping 8.71 yards per play, and go 7 for 11 on third downs. During head coach Dan Quinn's postgame press conference late night on Sunday night, had this back and forth between Commanders insider Ben Standig of Last Man Standing on Substack and Quinn.
As for the game itself, Sam Darnold obviously was able to seemingly do whatever he wanted, especially in the first half. What were they doing that you guys were unable to stop?
Like I said, I give them the credit, but the breakdowns that we had allowed them to have that night are obviously disappointing. It's one thing, a call or, player beat man-to-man, but, to have a couple breakdowns take place for us, that's, when you beat yourself, man, like you got no shot at it.
You guys prided yourself last year on culture, and you guys were, good with the veterans to sort of avoid performances like this. Beyond injuries, can you point to what feels different about this year compared to last year? Because obviously it's not just this game. Yeah,
obviously if I had one, I'd already point to it. I certainly don't think culturally is where I would look. It's a connected team. It's performance related, not culturally related. Guys, care, working at it, good teammates. So, I think you're barking up the wrong tree on that space, but you're not when we say about the performance. So I understand the question, but this is performance related, and we've got to get it fixed.
Yeah, I can accept that the Commanders' primary problem isn't a culture problem. I can buy that that's the case. The Commanders' primary problem on defense is talent. A lack of talent due to injury and the team being old and the players just not being good enough. General Manager Adam Peters needs more time to build up the roster. But what also is disappointing is that this coaching staff isn't getting more out of this talent. You have a head coach in Dan Quinn with a defensive background. You have a defensive coordinator in Joe Witt Jr. who is well respected, and yet Quinn and Witt cannot figure out how to get more out of this defense. And also with the defense on Sunday night were penalties. The Commanders' defense totaled 5 penalties, including 3 accepted penalties. 1st and 10 for the Seahawks at the Commanders' 13 with 3:51 left in the first quarter. Marshawn Lattimore committed a 10-yard defensive pass interference penalty. Also, Lattimore committed a defensive pass interference penalty that was declined. This on Sam Darnold's 2nd and goal, 4-yard under center play action touchdown pass to Torrey Horton with 3:04 left in the first quarter. 1st and 10 for the Seahawks at their 12 with 10:50 left in the third quarter. Cornerback Jonathan Jones committed a 28-yard defensive pass interference penalty and covering receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba. 2nd and 4 for the Seahawks at their 46 with 5:15 left in the third quarter. Mikey Sainristil committed a defensive holding penalty that was declined. And on a 1st and 10 for the Seahawks at the Commanders' 18 with 2:53 left in the third quarter, interior defensive lineman Javon Kinlaw committed a 4-yard face mask penalty on an 11-yard run by running back Kenneth Walker. Now, the Commanders' run defense actually was pretty good. They held Seahawks running backs, receivers, and tight ends who got carries in this game to a combined 24 carries for 88 yards and a touchdown. And the Commanders did have a takeaway. We did have that. 3rd and 4 for the Seahawks at their 46 with 9:17 left in the third quarter. Micah Sainristil had an interception of Sam Darnold on a shotgun pass intended for receiver Cody White. But still, overall, another pathetic performance by this Commanders defense. We, during Dan Quinn's postgame press conference late night on Sunday night, had this exchange between Commanders insider David Harrison of SI.com and Quinn, and then you hear a follow-up exchange between Mitch Tischler of Monumental Sports Network and Quinn.
Hey, Coach, you talk about performance, and I know last week we talked about you guys paring down the defense a little bit. Just kind of curious, as the week-to-week process goes and the tell the truth and the accountability systems, how much of that turns inward to the coaching staff to, are we sure we're asking them to do things that they're capable and understanding of doing?
Yeah, everything inward, honestly. Players too. Like that's what our process is about, like telling it, hearing it, and like for us not to be squared away at this point obviously is like as frustrating as I could honestly answer for you, but I do know from a player standpoint, like these are guys that are going to fix it and dig our way through it and find our ways and battle for it. Like everybody's, like disappointed, surprised, all the emotions that you would have for not performing tonight.
Last one.
Kind of to follow up on that, the defense seems to continue to regress here, and you talk about details and everything. Is the messaging just not getting through? Is it not being communicated the right way? How can you get to a point where we see kind of improvement as we go forward in the season?
Yeah, the consistency is what I'm searching for. Last week I thought we took 2 steps forward, and tonight 3 steps back, and that's a terrible recipe. When you move forward, then you move forward again, then you move forward again, and so when you don't keep stacking those, it gets harder. But offensively, we didn't hit the marks either, and so playing together back and forth, like that's how we've got to do it. But yeah, we were definitely disappointed to see the ops that took place tonight, because it was there for us. And so when you beat yourself, man, it is as hard as it gets. In some ways, it's worse than the gut-wrenching loss that happens at the end because you missed chances to do your thing. And so both of them suck, but missing the ops to play well, as a coach, that obviously, you got to find better solutions for the players.
It is remarkable what has happened with this Commanders defense this season. Even the biggest pessimist never anticipated the defense being this bad. The defense has been horrible. The Commanders' rushing offense finished with decent numbers for this loss to the Seahawks, although a good chunk of the rushing yardage came in garbage time, which ended up being the majority of the game. But Commanders' running backs and receivers who got carries in this game, running backs Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, Chris Rodriguez Jr., and Jeremy McNichols, and receiver Deebo Samuel Sr. combined for 26 carries for 106 yards and a touchdown. The Seahawks' run defense is elite. They, for this regular season through Week 8, were number 1 in the NFL in run defense in terms of expected points added per play per RBSDM.com, and were number 1 in the NFL in fewest yards allowed per carry at 3.29. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt had 12 carries for 38 yards and had 1 reception for 3 yards on 1 target. The magic of our guy Bill really has worn off. I thought that Chris Rodriguez looked good. He had 12 carries for 65 yards and a touchdown and had no targets. Jeremy McNichols had 1 carry for no yards, had no targets, and committed a penalty. 3rd and 15 for the Commanders at the Seahawks 46 with 5:55 left in the third quarter. McNichols committed a chop block penalty that was declined. Now, speaking of penalties, Zach Ertz, dude, drops and penalties by the Commanders TE1 this season. Way too many drops and penalties. Ertz on Sunday night, 4 receptions for 46 yards on 4 targets, but he committed 2 5-yard false start penalties. 4th and 1 for the Commanders at their 29 with 7:06 left in the second quarter. Ertz committed a 5-yard false start penalty. 2nd and 9 for the Commanders at the Seahawks 40 with 6:40 left in the third quarter. Ertz committed a 5-yard false start penalty. Zach Ertz has really hurt hurt the Commanders this season with his drops and penalties. Commander special teams in this loss to the Seahawks committed a turnover. Receiver Jalen Lane, he was the Commanders' primary punt returner and served as a kickoff returner. Lane had one kickoff return, which did not go well. He, in the second quarter, had a lost fumble on a 26-yard kickoff return, and the very next snap resulted in Sam Darnold's first and 10 26-yard under center touchdown pass to tight end Elijah Arroyo with 8:41 left in the second quarter. Lane had two punt returns, a 3-yard return in the third quarter and a 12-yard return in the fourth quarter. Receiver Luke McCaffrey was knocked out of the game via a shoulder injury that he suffered on a game-opening 19-yard kickoff return. Deebo Samuel had one kickoff return, a 30-yard return in the second quarter. Kicker Matt Gay, he returned from a one-game absence caused by a back ailment. He did not attempt a field goal, went 2 for 2 on extra points. And here's a bright spot. We'll end on a bright spot because we all could use that right now. Punter Tress Way, very good game for him. He over 4 punts, averaged 47.8 yards per punt and 47.8 net yards per punt. He placed each of his 4 punts inside a 20-yard line. The Seahawks had 0 punt returns. So yay, Tress Way. We have entered the holiday season. A great idea for dinner, a great idea for a gift is Omaha Steaks. Omaha Steaks food is outstanding. You know, my dad got us Omaha Steaks as a Christmas gift a few years ago. He won that Christmas. Best gift that we got. From handcrafted steaks to delicious fall favorites, Omaha Steaks delivers the world's best steak experience. Enjoy USDA certified tender steaks, juicy burgers, chicken, pork, seafood, plus tailgating favorites like chicken wings, smash burgers, and big deli-style franks. The food is so good, and right now during Omaha Steaks' semi-annual sale, you get 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, you get an extra $35 off with the promo code ALGALDI at checkout. Omaha Steaks offers unrivaled quality and variety, and every bite is backed by a 100% guarantee. Omaha Steaks is a family-owned company that has been America's original butcher since 1917. Yes, over 100 years of expertise in the meat industry. Bring home the legendary flavor and everyday convenience of Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during Omaha Steaks' semi-annual sale. And for an extra $35 off, use the promo code ALGALDI at checkout. Using that promo code helps out this podcast a lot, so thank you in advance. The promo code is simply my name, ALGALDI. 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com and an extra $35 off with the promo code ALGALDI at checkout. Terms apply. See site for details. Few things in your home are as important as the mattress on which you sleep. Avocado Green Mattress is next level. Avocado Green mattresses are certified organic mattresses that deliver luxurious comfort, ergonomic back support, and naturally cool sleep. 3 comfort options: firm, medium, or plush. What does comfort mean to you? For me, comfort is sleeping cool. No tossing, no turning, just deep, refreshing rest. Avocado mattresses are built for your comfort. They're handcrafted from the finest natural organic ingredients for superior durability and are designed to last. Unlike mattresses with low-quality memory foam, those mattresses break down in a matter of years. And for those of you with back problems, Avocado mattresses feature thousands of steel coils individually encased in fabric pockets that flex independently to reduce motion transfer and support your body where it needs it most. You'll feel just as good getting into bed as you do getting out of bed. Also, Avocado offers up to 1-year sleep trials and generous warranties for your peace of mind. Head to avocadogreenmattress.com today and check out Avocado's mattress and bedding sale. Avocado, dream of better. Hey, a few things that you could do to support this podcast, and these are things that cost nothing and take very little time. First of all, you on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify can both rate the podcast and write reviews. The highest rating is a 5-star rating. It is greatly appreciated if you give the podcast a 5-star rating, and it is also greatly appreciated if you write like a 1 or 2 sentence review saying that you like the podcast. Also, following the podcast is a big help. If you have an iPhone, following the podcast is as simple as clicking on the word follow next to a plus sign near the top right of your screen. Thank you for doing these things. They help to make the podcast a success, and thank you for listening to the podcast. The Washington Capitals' longest losing streak in the NHL's 2024-2025 regular season was just 3 games. Well, the Caps in the NHL's 2025-2026 regular season now have a 4-game losing streak. 2 games over the weekend, each was a loss. Friday night, a 3-1 loss to the New York Islanders at Capital One Arena. Saturday night, a 4-3 shootout loss at the Buffalo Sabres. The Caps now are 6-5-1. What is odd about the Caps having this mediocre record is that they have been elite at puck possession. The Caps for this regular season, as of games through Saturday, were number 3 in the NHL in 5-on-5 shot attempt percentage per NHL.com, 54.6. And the Caps over the weekend won the puck possession battle in each game. The 3-1 loss to the Islanders on Friday night, each team had 23 shots on goal, but the Caps per natural stat trick had 42 5-on-5 shot attempts to the Islanders' 33, including 12 5-on-5 high-danger shot attempts to the Islanders' 7. The Caps in this game got stymied by the Islanders starting goaltender Ilya Sorokin. He stopped 22 of the 23 shots on goal that he faced. The 4-3 shootout loss at the Sabres on Saturday night. The Caps had 34 shots on goal to the Sabres' 24, and per natural stat trick had 46 5-on-5 shot attempts to the Sabres' 35, including 10 5-on-5 high-danger shot attempts to the Sabres' 3. The Caps continue to get good goaltending from their number 1 goaltender, Logan Thompson. The 3-1 loss to the Islanders on Friday night. The Caps starting goaltender was Thompson. He stopped 20 of the 22 shots on goal that he faced. But the Caps' number 2 goaltender, Charlie Lindgren, has been a different story. The 4-3 shootout loss at the Sabres on Saturday night. The Caps starting goaltender was Lindgren. He stopped just 21 of the 24 shots on goal that he faced. Now, Lindgren in the first period stopped just 7 of the 10 shots on goal that he faced. He, over the final 2 periods and overtime, did stop all 14 of the shots on goal that he faced. This was an odd game. The Caps blew a 2-0 first period lead, and in the first period, they ended up losing the first period 3-2, won the second period 1-0, and we had a scoreless third period and a scoreless overtime. So credit to Charlie Lindgren for in the game being good after that first period, but check out the disparity between Logan Thompson and Charlie Lindgren in this regular season. Thompson, goals against average of 1.51. Lindgren, goals against average of 3.46. Thompson, save percentage of .935. Lindgren, save percentage of .880. Big difference. The Caps over the weekend were perfect on the penalty kill. The 3-1 loss to the Islanders on Friday night. The Caps went 5 for 5 on the penalty kill. The 4-3 shootout loss at the Sabres on Saturday night. The Caps went 3 for 3 on the penalty kill. But the Caps power play is cold. The 3-1 loss to the Islanders on Friday night. The Caps went 0 for 4 on the power play and gave up a shorthanded goal. The 4-3 shootout loss at the Sabres on Saturday night. The Caps went 0 for 4 on the power play. The Caps for this regular season are a putrid 6 for 40 on the power play. Also, the grade 8 Alex Ovechkin, he has yet to truly get going. 12 games in this regular season, just 2 goals and 5 assists. The 3-1 loss to the Islanders on Friday night. Ovi served as the Caps' top-line left wing. He had no points. Total just 2 shots on goal and registered a game worst plus-minus rating of -3. The 4-3 shootout loss at the Sabres on Saturday night. Ovi served as the Caps' top-line right wing. He had no points, though he did have a team-high 9 total shot attempts, including 3 shots on goal. A mixed weekend for the Caps in terms of injuries. The good news is that Dylan Strome is back. He in the 4-3 shootout loss at the Sabres on Saturday night returned from a 2-game absence caused by a lower body injury that he suffered in the Caps' 7-1 loss to the Ottawa Senators at Capital One Arena the previous Saturday night, October 25th. Strome in this shootout loss at the Sabres served as the Caps' second-line center and did well, scored an even-strength goal, 107 into the first period for his 3rd goal in this regular season. He had a game-high 6 shots on goal, and he went 16-8 on faceoffs. But another Caps center, Pierre-Luc Dubois, he is out again. He suffered a lower body injury in the Caps' 3-1 loss to the Islanders on Friday night. Did not play in the 4-3 shootout loss at the Sabres on Saturday night. Second time that he has missed time in this regular season due to injury. Two guys on injured reserve for the Caps are defenseman Rasmus Sandin and forward Ethan Frank. Sandin is on injured reserve due to an upper body injury. Frank is on injured reserve due to an upper body injury that he suffered in the Caps' 1-0 loss at the Dallas Stars this past Tuesday night, October 28th. Defenseman Dylan McElrath was a healthy scratch for each game over the weekend, and a healthy scratch for the 4-3 shootout loss at the Sabres on Saturday night was forward Spencer Smallman. The Caps on Saturday afternoon announced having recalled Smallman from their AHL affiliate, the Hershey Bears. Where are the Caps 12 games into the 82-game regular season? Here was Caps head coach Spencer Carberry during his post-game session with reporters on Saturday night.
Yeah, I still think we're trying to find ourselves a little bit. I know the record was what it was early on, but I'm not fooled by that. Like, we're still trying to find our identity. Some guys are trying to get into a rhythm with their seasons, and it's no secret. Like, we have a lot of guys that are struggling right now, but they're trying to fight their way through it. And so that's what I take from this game is, as we're trying to get into the season and get guys going and up to speed and feeling good about themselves and creating confidence and putting some pucks in the back of the net, as we try to get to that spot, you're going to have to find a way to grind out points and take steps in the right direction. I thought tonight was one. Do we have a long way to go? Do guys have a long way to go individually? Absolutely. But again, we'll take the positives from tonight. I thought it was a positive step.
Okay, two more things from the Caps weekend. Defenseman John Carlson, he in the 4-3 shootout loss at the Sabres on Saturday night became just the third player in Caps history to play in at least 1,100 regular season games with the Caps, joining winger Alex Ovechkin and center Nicholas Backstrom. And the Caps on Friday evening announced having signed winger Ivan Miroshnichenko to a 2-year, $1.85 million contract extension. Miroshnichenko had been set to be a restricted free agent in the 2026 offseason. The Caps took Miroshnichenko with the number 20 overall pick in the 2022 NHL draft, but he's not currently on the team at the NHL level. The Caps on October 6th announced having loaned Miroshnichenko to Hershey as he did not make the Caps 2025-2026 regular season opening roster. Next up for the Caps are games on back-to-back nights, home to the St. Louis Blues Wednesday night at 7:30 and at the Pittsburgh Penguins Thursday night at 7:30. Time now to talk college football. We just had week 10 of the 2025 season. We on Saturday had 6 of the 7 FBS teams of the Mid-Atlantic region in action. Included in that mix was yet another team of the region becoming bowl eligible for this season, but also included in that mix was an embarrassing loss for Maryland. Maryland fell to 4-4 overall, including 1-4 in the Big Ten, with a 55-10 loss to then number 2 Indiana at CQ Stadium in College Park, Maryland on Saturday. In the Terrapins' homecoming game, IU for this game was the number 2 team in the FBS in the Associated Press Top 25 poll that came out on October 26, and IU off this win is the number 2 team in the FBS in the Associated Press Top 25 poll that came out on Sunday afternoon. Yes, IU is a really good team, but that's the point, and I posted this on X shortly after the end of the game. It is impossible to look at the rise of IU under head coach Curt Cignetti, who was killing it just a few hours away from Maryland as James Madison's head coach, and not ask why Maryland isn't better. In this era of the NCAA transfer portal and NIL, a program can get to be very good very fast. This is just Cignetti's second season as IU head coach, and yet he already has turned IU, a basketball-first school, into a football powerhouse. Why isn't this happening at Maryland? Why can't this happen at Maryland? There's also this. Maryland now is 0-37 against ranked Big Ten teams since joining the conference beginning with the 2014 season. 0-37. Let that sink in. That is incomprehensible given the frequency with which there are upsets in college football. Maryland, with Mike Locksley as head coach, is 0-18 in games against ranked Big Ten teams, and that does not include him going 0-2 against ranked Big Ten teams as Maryland interim head coach in 2015. Things are not going well for Mike Locksley as Maryland head coach. I'm rooting for the guy to succeed. He is not succeeding. The Terps this season have gone from 4-0 to 4-4, 4 consecutive losses. Maryland in this loss to IU got humiliated. Maryland for this game was a 21.5-point underdog per multiple outlets, and yet IU covered that easily in winning by 45 points and in what was Maryland's homecoming game. The Terps had 37 total net yards rushing to IU's 367. Enough cannot be said about how bad the Terps rushing offense is. The Terps had 11 first downs to IU's 28. The Terps lost the time of possession battle by 20 minutes, 44 seconds. Maryland true freshman quarterback Malik Washington had a bad game that included him committing 3 turnovers. He completed just 16 of his 31 pass attempts. He had 1 touchdown pass versus 2 interceptions. He had 3 carries for 1 yard and a lost fumble. He quarterbacked the Terps offense that went just 3 for 12 on third downs. He did throw for 242 yards, and he did take no sacks. And this is something Malik Washington, despite being a true freshman and despite quarterbacking a team with a terrible rushing offense, has taken 2 sacks over 8 games this season. 2 sacks taken over 8 games. That is remarkable. I do give Malik Washington a lot of credit for that. But yeah, 45-point loss for Maryland in its homecoming game. A 4-game losing streak. 0-37 against ranked Big Ten teams since joining the conference beginning with the 2014 season. During Mike Locksley's postgame press conference on Saturday evening, had this exchange between Gene Wong of the Washington Post and Locksley.
Yeah, Mike, just any initial thoughts on the coaching and execution and what have you on what it's going to take to get this thing turned around?
Yeah, I mean, it's just the work. I mean, when I tell you, Gene, I'm usually pretty authentic up here at the podium that we've had probably one of the best Tuesdays and Wednesdays we've had, and those are 2 work days that are really tough. But today, again, some of these young guys played like young guys against a really good team. When we had opportunities early in the game, we did not take advantage of them. Our defense continues, as I said, to get off to a fast start, and somehow, some way, we've got to get the offense going. And to me, the inefficiency on offense is just the inability to have balance. And to me, that's my job. I'm an offensive guy. If I got to get back involved in making sure that we can create the balance to take the pressure off of them, I hate putting the kid in that situation where it's all on him, and it wasn't. It's on me as the coach. It's on me as the leader to make sure that we have the ability when he's not at his best, that we have other answers.
Well, there are no answers with Maryland's rushing offense right now. The Terps for this season are 129th out of 136 FBS teams in rushing yards per game, 93.3. Next up for Maryland at Rutgers Saturday afternoon at 2:30. Number 1 in the FBS in rushing yards per game for this season is Navy, 317.3, but the midshipmen, like Maryland, suffered a rough loss on Saturday. Navy fell to 7-1 overall, including 5-1 in the AAC, with a 31-17 loss at North Texas on Saturday afternoon. The loss snapped Navy's 10-game winning streak going back to last season. The 10-game winning streak tied the program record for most consecutive wins. Navy's defense was really bad. The Mids allowed North Texas to generate 424 total net yards of offense, average 6.14 yards per play, and go 7 for 13 on third downs and 1 for 1 on fourth downs. The Mids got shredded by North Texas true freshman running back Caleb Hawkins. He had 33 carries for 197 yards and 4 touchdowns and had 3 receptions for 9 yards on 3 targets. And the Mids allowed North Texas redshirt freshman quarterback Drew Mestemaker to go 19 for 24 for 234 yards, no touchdowns, and no interceptions. The Mids did have 2 sacks, but the Drew Mestemaker story really is something. Are you aware of this? Mestemaker in high school played quarterback, safety, and punter, but he did not start a single varsity game as a quarterback in high school. He walked on to North Texas, and yet he's having a tremendous season for North Texas. 21 touchdown passes versus 4 interceptions. He, for this season, is number 3 in the FBS in passing yards, 2,702. Navy for this season is 110th out of 136 FBS teams in defensive efficiency per ESPN. Navy's defense is a big problem. Navy quarterback Blake Horvath did have a good game in terms of his rushing, but he committed 3 turnovers, so 2 interceptions and a lost fumble as the Mids lost the turnover battle 3-0. Horvath had 18 carries for 116 yards, a touchdown, and a lost fumble when you take out the sack that he took. He went 8 for 14 passing for just 80 yards, no touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. He took 1 sack, which was for a loss of 4 yards. So Blake Horvath for this season is number 5 in the FBS in rushing yards, 926. Navy's offense was efficient beyond the 3 turnovers. The Mids averaged 6.74 yards per play and went 6 for 11 on third downs. The Navy slot back Brandon Chapman had 6 carries for 67 yards and a touchdown and had no receptions on 1 target. Here was Navy head coach Brian Newberry during his post-game session with reporters on Saturday afternoon.
Just wasn't good enough, and I've been telling everybody, I've 7-0, but you're still frustrated about a lot of things that you see happen. We're squeaking games out. You feel like you should be winning by a larger margin because we're beating ourselves, in a lot of ways. And so, you got to be at your best in a game like this to beat a team like North Texas on the road. And we were not today. They were the better football team. And, we got to take ownership, as a staff. And as a head coach, I certainly made some bad decisions today. But how we respond moving forward is going to define us. And everything's still out in front of us.
Yes, it is. But next up for Navy at Notre Dame, Saturday night at 7:30. Notre Dame is the number 10 team in the FBS in the Associated Press Top 25 poll that came out on Sunday afternoon. Virginia is the number 12 team in the FBS in the Associated Press Top 25 poll that came out on Sunday afternoon. Yeah, wahoo-wah, number 12 in the FBS. Then number 15, Virginia, improved to 8-1 overall, including 5-0 in the ACC, with a 31-21 win at Cal on Saturday. The Cavaliers continued to roll. Virginia, in improving to 8-1 overall with this win, is off to the program's best start to a season since beginning the 1990 season, 8-1. Also, this win at Cal gives Virginia 5 consecutive ACC wins in the same season for the first time in program history. UVA's defense was really good. The Cavs held Cal to just 263 total net yards of offense, just 4.61 yards per play, and just 3 for 12 on third downs. The Cavs generated 2 interceptions, including a 35-yard pick six by linebacker Cam Robinson with 34 seconds left in the fourth quarter. And the Cavs totaled 3 sacks. UVA quarterback and North Texas transfer Chandler Morris, he had a good game, 24 for 36 for 262 yards, no touchdowns and no interceptions. He took 2 sacks, which totaled minus 11 yards and lost yardage. He had 4 carries for 49 yards when you take out the 2 sacks that he took. Morris quarterbacked Oahu's offense that went 10 for 19 on third downs. UVA running back and North Carolina Central transfer Jamari Taylor, he had 21 carries for 105 yards and 2 touchdowns. UVA had 456 total net yards of offense to Cal's 263. This was one of the Who's best offensive games of the season, and that offensive performance came against the Cal program for which former Washington Redskins / Washington football team / Washington Commanders head coach Ron Rivera is general manager. But you look at Virginia, 8-1 overall, including 5-0 in the ACC. UVA being in the college football playoff for this season is possible. Probable? Who knows? But possible? Absolutely. We, during UVA head coach Tony Elliott's postgame press conference on Saturday evening, had this exchange.
How do you address kind of the possibilities this team has while also focusing on the next game and going 1-0?
Yeah, because just keep the main thing. And at the end of the day, all that stuff down the road don't matter if you don't take care of the business in front of you. And I think the team has really adopted, that mindset and mentality that they know that we got to do it one step at a time and focus on what we can control. Constantly reminding the guys to simplify their life, cut off social media. And it's only going to get hard this week because, this is the week where they start doing all the rankings and all that kind of stuff. And hopefully, I can get ahead of it and tell the guys, like, none of that stuff matters. And really, from the beginning, I told them that preseason rankings don't matter, midseason rankings don't matter. The only ranking that matters is where you're at the end of the season. And if we don't take care of business week to week, then we're not going to be in that conversation.
All right, next up for Virginia, home to Wake Forest, Saturday night at 7. It was 2 Friday nights ago, October 24th, that Cal lost at Virginia Tech in double overtime, 42-34, but Tech, like Cal, lost this past Saturday. Virginia Tech fell to 3-6 overall, including 2-3 in the ACC, with a 28-16 loss to then number 16 Louisville at Lane Stadium in Blacksburg, Virginia on Saturday. Louisville for this game was the number 16 team in the FBS in the Associated Press Top 25 poll that came out on October 26, and Louisville off this win moved up to being the number 14 team in the FBS in the Associated Press Top 25 poll that came out on Sunday afternoon. The Hokies blew a 16-7 halftime lead. They lost the second half 21-0. This game had the potential to be a nice upset win by the Hokies, but they then lost that second half 21-0. The Hokies' pass defense was good, but their run defense was terrible. Tech held Louisville quarterback Miller Moss to just 136 passing yards over 28 pass attempts. That works out to a yards per pass attempt of just 4.86, but Tech allowed Louisville running backs Isaac Brown and Kewan Brown, no relation, to combine for 28 carries for 224 yards and 3 touchdowns. Isaac Brown is having some season. He, for this season, is number 1 among all qualified players in the FBS in yards per carry, 8.59. Hokies quarterback Kyron Drones, another mixed game. He completed just 11 of his 24 pass attempts, threw for just 76 yards, and quarterbacked the Tech offense that went just 4 for 15 on third downs. Drones did have 1 touchdown pass versus no interceptions, did take no sacks, and did have 14 carries for 85 yards and a touchdown. But man, the inaccuracy of Kyron Drones really stands out. He, for this season, has a completion percentage of just 58.46, ranking just 106th out of 118 qualified FBS quarterbacks. Next up for Virginia Tech is a bye. The Hokies' next game is at Florida State on Saturday, November 15th. Hey, congratulations to Old Dominion, which now is bowl eligible for this season. The Monarchs improved to 6-3 overall, including 3-2 in the Sun Belt Conference, with a 31-6 win at ULM on Saturday. ODU, with this win, becomes bowl eligible for the 4th time since joining the FBS beginning with the 2014 season. ODU quarterback Colton Joseph did have a mixed game. He completed just 12 of his 22 pass attempts, had no touchdown passes, and took 3 sacks, including a sack strip for a lost fumble. The sacks did total just minus 14 yards in lost yardage. But Joseph threw for 231 yards and no interceptions, and Joseph had 13 carries for 86 yards and 3 touchdowns when you take out the 3 sacks that he took. Colton Joseph for this season is number 26 among all qualified FBS quarterbacks in ESPN's total QBR, 73.8. Next up for Old Dominion is a bye. The Monarchs' next game is home to Troy on Thursday night, November 13th at 7:30. And how about Liberty? The Flames now have won 3 consecutive games to go from 1-4 to 4-4. Liberty improved to 4-4 overall, including 3-1 in Conference USA, with a 59-30 win over Delaware at Williams Stadium in Lynchburg, Virginia on Saturday. Liberty's offense was outstanding. The Flames generated 561 total net yards of offense, averaged 8.77 yards per play, and went 6 for 10 on third downs and 1 for 1 on fourth downs. Now, Liberty did this against a Delaware team that is atrocious defensively. Delaware for this season is 127th out of 136 FBS teams in defensive efficiency per ESPN, but still really impressive game for the Flames offensively. Liberty running back and Georgia Tech transfer Evan Dickens, he had 22 carries for 217 yards and 4 touchdowns. Liberty quarterback and Coastal Carolina transfer Ethan Vasco had a good game, 14 for 20 for 221 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. He took no sacks. He had 5 carries for 31 yards and a touchdown. Next up for Liberty, home to Missouri State, Saturday afternoon at 1. So you look at the 7 FBS teams of the Mid-Atlantic region. Navy, Virginia, James Madison, and Old Dominion already are bowl eligible. And Maryland and Liberty have legitimate chances to become bowl eligible. There's a realistic chance that 6 of the 7 teams play in bowl games this season. Although, yes, Maryland has quite a bit of work to do. And I mentioned James Madison, the Dukes. They are number 2 among others receiving votes for the Associated Press Top 25 poll that came out on Sunday afternoon. Hey, make your internet experience the best and safest it can possibly be with NordVPN. NordVPN aims to make the internet a better place for everyone. Free the internet from online threats, censorship, and surveillance, and give yourself the ability to access content that isn't usually available where you live. NordVPN allows you to switch your virtual location. This allows you to watch sporting events that aren't usually available where you live. This is especially key if you are a Premier League fan. Switching your virtual location also allows you to save money by purchasing flights, hotel stays, and subscriptions from other countries at cheaper prices. NordVPN can pay for itself and then some. Also, NordVPN allows you to protect your private data like bank details, passwords, and online identity. And know this, one NordVPN account can be used on up to 10 devices. To get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/Galdi and get 4 extra months on a 2-year plan. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. That's nordvpn.com/Galdi, nordvpn.com/Galdi, and that link is in the show notes for this episode of the podcast. Few things in your home are as important as the mattress on which you sleep. Avocado Green mattress is next level. Avocado Green mattresses are certified organic mattresses that deliver luxurious comfort, ergonomic back support, and naturally cool sleep. 3 comfort options: firm, medium, or plush. What does comfort mean to you? For me, comfort is sleeping cool. No tossing, no turning, just deep, refreshing rest. Avocado mattresses are built for your comfort. They're handcrafted from the finest natural organic ingredients for superior durability and are designed to last. Unlike mattresses with low-quality memory foam, those mattresses break down in a matter of years. And for those of you with back problems, Avocado mattresses feature thousands of steel coils individually encased in fabric pockets that flex independently to reduce motion transfer and support your body where it needs it most. You'll feel just as good getting into bed as you do getting out of bed. Also, Avocado offers up to 1-year sleep trials and generous warranties for your peace of mind. Head to avocadogreenmattress.com today and check out Avocado's mattress and bedding sale. Avocado, dream of better. Well, our rebuilding and tanking Washington Wizards, they on Saturday night began a stretch of 7 games in 12 days, and our Wizards begin that stretch with an ugly loss, a 125-94 loss to the Orlando Magic at Capital One Arena on Saturday night. The Wizards in the NBA's 2025-2026 regular season now are 1-5. They trailed by at least 16 points for all of the second half. The Wizards' shooting was terrible. They went just 9 for 27 on threes, just 30 for 71 on twos, and just 7 for 15 on free throws. The Wizards held the Magic to just 12 for 36 on threes, but also allowed the Magic to go 35 for 56 on twos, and the Magic went 19 for 22 on free throws. So the Wizards got ripped by 6'10" Paolo Banchero, who the Magic took with the number 1 overall pick in the 2022 NBA draft out of Duke. Banchero, in just 26 minutes, 9 seconds as a starter, had 28 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists versus 3 turnovers, and 2 blocks. He went 3 for 6 on threes, 6 for 9 on twos, and 7 for 7 on free throws. Keyshawn George led the Wizards with 17 points. He in 24-12 as a starter, went 1 for 2 on threes and 7 for 10 on twos. Did not attempt a free throw. He finished with 17 points and 3 rebounds, but he also had 1 assist versus 4 turnovers. So each team committed 17 turnovers. Next up for the Wizards at the New York Knicks, Monday night at 7:30. And that'll do it for you and me for now. Keep the feedback coming. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Tuesday show, episode 1191. We'll have plenty for you on the Washington Commanders, as we on Monday afternoon have head coach Dan Quinn's day after the game press conference. Also on Tuesday's show, I'll talk Washington Wizards and college basketball. The Wizards are at the New York Knicks Monday night at 7:30, and we on Monday have the start of the 2025-2026 college basketball regular season. Among the games, Maryland versus Coppin State at CFG Bank Arena in Baltimore on Monday evening at 6:30 in the Naismith Hall of Fame Baltimore series. Georgetown home to Morgan State Monday evening at 6:30. Virginia home to Rider Monday night at 7. And Virginia Tech home to Charleston Southern Monday night at 7. Have a great rest of your Monday, and I'll talk to you on Tuesday.
Told the team, we're the one dug the hole, we're the ones that dig it out. The solutions are from within. So we missed it by a mile. We missed it out by a mile.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.